Hello everyone, hope we're all doing well. Welcome back to more CSGO news. Let's debate, why don't we? I am super curious as always what you guys have to say about today's stories, because last night, well, it was a free-for-all of Brazilians, Americans, other cultures, because CSGO is so diverse, but a huge debate over the fact of Furia. If you guys were here a couple of days ago, I never reported on this, but it was Furia re-signing 5-year contracts, and I think we all need to get the gist of this argument being said. The players were happy back then. They are even happier now. They were happy to sign these brand new contracts for 5 years, which does tie the longest contracts in CSGO history, matching that of Virtus Pro. Of course, many of you guys are well aware, players only lasted about 2 years before a few of those players did leave, and none of those players will actually make the full 5-year, or did make the full 5-year contracts that were originally signed. That's of course, a lot of us don't really understand the whole long-term contract. It does make a lot of sense, though, when put into words of the own co-owner of Furia himself. He actually took to Reddit to kind of describe why they actually took these longer contracts, more stability, better sponsorships, better partnerships. It all makes sense, and the bottom line is this, guys: the players were happy then, and they are happy now. I've actually talked to Sam41. He is a very close friend of the players, alongside other people close to these players. They are happy, and that's all that matters, but it does not stop angry fans out there. I almost said Brazilian fans, but there's a lot of people that are angry about this, or maybe a small few that are very loud about somehow DeKay's article being broken last night about the old contracts, which were a little bit disturbing in some of the numbers that were brought up. Because according to DeKay, these old contracts before these new 5-year ones, I want to stress that enough, these players are happy where they were, and they are happy where they are now with these new contracts. I know you guys might be pissed off by me saying that, but I don't want to piss off anyone else out there. The numbers brought up by DeKay, though, it was actually $1,400 per month salaries. Along with that, 40% of prize pools to be paid to Furia, and $200,000 buyouts for a team, a roster of ESEA advanced players. Now, I also need to note, though, because I'm talking to Sam, very close to the team, you must put into context where these players were now compared to then. It's a huge difference, right? They are now based in North America. They are now winning events. They are now going to the major, most likely. Sorry, Brazilian fans, knock on some wood there for you. So obviously this contract now would never fill their role, but back then when they were based in South America, with that being said, in ESEA Advanced, a $1,400 per month salary in Brazil is, according to Sam and the players, an amazing salary to play with, especially where they were at the time. The only thing that actually bothered me, not even the prize pool stuff, right? 40% of prize pools paid to the organization. They weren't going to big events. You know, yes, at the very back end where we saw, of course, you know, I think it was at Rio, maybe Sao Paulo as well. I think it was actually Rio de Janeiro. They had an event there that they placed second, I believe, in. Besides that, though, they have not been playing big events. So 40% of whatever small prize pools they were playing for going to the organization is not a huge deal. The only part that really bothered me are the $200,000 buyouts. But again, you got to understand from both bases, they're trying to protect their players and keep their players that they have faith in. So not really too bothersome of me, besides the huge buyouts of these players, which really locks them in to these somewhat, to us, cruddy contracts. So there's two sides of the story right now, and that's not even where the anger is coming from, right? We talked about, of course, Furia's new contracts, 5-year solid contracts, a huge improvement from their former contracts. Their former contracts were probably, I wouldn't say necessarily fair, but they were probably not as bad as portrayed by these sources out there, but that's not where the anger came from. Now we have Furia's co-owner coming out and saying, as well as in a tweet longer I'll post on screen for all of you guys, pretty much Furia is calling a DeKay a liar. The articles that he showed, or the proof that he showed in his article, was a lie about what they were actually offering their players. And then we have DeKay saying, hey, you're calling me a liar, but you're not showing proof that what you're saying is true as well. So now we have two sides going back and forth. Also a very pointless argument out there. People are saying that DeKay did not reach out to Furia themselves, because yes, he might have sent an email to the wrong email, but he was also conversing with them in the DMs on top of that, which is a lot more than many journalists out there do. So a pointless debate about that. The debate is whether or not DeKay is telling the truth or not, and both sides, I think DeKay has shown more proof of that. We could find out right now. I could reach out to Sam and his friends over at Furia. We could find out, but it's kind of just a pointless debate here, guys. DeKay is doing his job time and time again. There have been CEOs, owners, founders who have lied to journalists and reporters out there. He is simply doing his job, reporting these kind of things, and with that being said, he's bringing more attention to the scene, and I don't hate on him at all for that, guys. He's done a great job, and with that being said, one more time, I've already said it. Furia has now re-signed 5-year contracts. Yes, their previous contracts might not have been fair to some of your standards. I assure you guys they were likely happy with those contracts they did sign. They have grown as a team together. They are now the best Brazilian team in CSGO. They have signed brand new contracts and couldn't be happier. So that is the overall story of this, guys. I just don't understand why everyone can get so angry about such a minor argument. So let's move on to roster lock, and I promise you guys I'll be back tomorrow to actually finalize these because I am reporting this a bit early. As of right now, not everything is confirmed, so I'm going off sources out there. So thank you to Ryan B over at Rush B Media. I'm taking your word for it because you're very close to Cloud9. But with that, we do have some finalizations, the first of which Avangar has finalized AdreN to the roster in place of Fitch. If you guys, I think it was actually back in 2018, might have been a bit earlier when Fitch first joined the roster on trial. He earned his starting role as well. Unfortunate results as he is now off the starting roster, but I don't think many people can argue that AdreN is not an immediate improvement and an immediate powerhouse to actually sign to the Avangar roster. It's kind of crazy to think that he was once on Gambit, who we saw as an amazing CIS team, and now he's on Avangar, kind of been consistently rising and definitely showing their presence. This is a huge improvement for that roster, in my opinion. Alongside that, a bit of a surprise this morning, which may confirm future Cloud9 roster changes, which we do presume will be happening today or at least sometime soon. That will be Golden from Cloud9 on trial to NiP as their IGL for the major, as 17-year-old Plopsky cannot compete. And so that's also a pretty huge change. I would say a change is a very safe change at that. I think, of course, we talked about this. I talked about this in terms of future IGLs for NiP, in terms of if Get Right, of course, he was the IGL for a very short amount of time, but once Get Right does retire, who they'd want to bring as a permanent IGL, it was Flusha or it was Golden. They have now signed Golden on trial to the NiP roster for the remainder of the major and their run there. And with that being said, thanks to Ryan B one more time as well, the alleged supposed Cloud9 roster will be Vice, Golden, Cajun gone, and bringing in Tens and Daps. Automatic and Rush will stay alongside them, and it's just gonna be weird because Kusto will also be on there, which I was very surprised by. So we presume Kusto will be coming in to take the opping role, so then Automatic back on the rifle, and then we have, of course, Daps, an established IGL from NRG, Tens, a young up-and-comer, a second risk that Cloud9 is taking on a very young player, but people have talked about this for, I would say, a couple of months now of him being a possibility, and to me, it's weird. I think it has a chance, I guess you could say, in terms of, I think my biggest worry would have been maybe a Tens to see how he fits the role in the upper tiers of CS. Alongside that, maybe Kusta, who we have seen kind of back and forth, his time with Ghost Gaming, not really a shocking, surprising star there, although I was a huge fan of Ghost Gaming. I will say this, though, what North American operators out there have blown you away in the past year, maybe besides someone on Liquid, and maybe besides Cirque, who's not even American, besides those two, not really been blown away by any North American opping talent. So I would say not a huge risky pickup here by Cloud9, but not a huge dominant signing either. And definitely, if this roster does happen, something I'm questioning for the future still with this roster. But those should be the changes happening. I'm still very excited to have a finalized Cloud9 roster, but it just wow. And in closing news for all of you guys, Optic Gaming announced by their coach as well, they are still looking for an organization. Again, I've talked about this with you guys multiple times. Optic Gaming will not continue in CSGO likely ever again. I don't think ever again is probably the better answer there. They're still looking for an organization. I'm a bit surprised by this, but also a bit not. I'm really kind of curious what organization might come out of the woodworks to sign these guys. They have an ECS and an EPL spot. They just won DreamHack Summer, but if you look at the overall results, besides holding those spots, they have not really done too much. So maybe that's why teams are a bit weary about these guys. They also just signed a brand new player in Tesses. I always mispronounce his name. So people are being a bit of a weary, I would say, of signing the Optic roster, who are still looking for an organization. And until they find that, they will continue to compete under Optic Gaming for the short amount of time they do have left. Also, very lastly, WESG, a huge announcement. You no longer have to be a full nationality team. And this is very, very big. WESG, one of the biggest events, if not prize pool wise currently, until maybe prize pools are increased, the biggest prize pool event in CSGO. And with that being said, no longer full nationality rosters, only a majority nationality, which is pretty cool. I actually kind of liked the idea of having full nationality rosters, but this will definitely mean, I would say, a better competition with only majority nationality teams out there. It does mean more of the teams we still see competing in Tier 1 CSGO can just send their full lineups to WSG and not have to drop a couple of players to have a full nationality roster. That's actually huge news. But as always, hope you guys all enjoy. Make sure you leave a comment down below what you think about that Brazilian debate thing. I pissed off some Brazilians. and I'm kind of scared about it. There's been people in my DMs and replying to my tweet threatening me, and they are a lot bigger than me. So I hope to quell those guys. I'm not on a side here, okay? It's gonna be okay. Furia guys are happy. I've said that so many times today. All right, I'm out of here. Hope you guys all enjoy. I'll see you back here tomorrow. Big news still coming. Bye.